Hi guys, so I'm going to go through paper 2 question 4. You'll see here it says that we have to refer to source A and source B. The question is always compare how the writers convey their different, and in this one it's attitudes to sweets. Okay, we have to remember to compare their different attitudes, and we have to remember to compare the methods that the writers use. There's 16 marks here, so we've got to write quite a bit. So I'm going to show you how to do that. Let's recall the first sentence starter for this question. In source A, the writer thinks sweets were... I don't know the answer yet because I need to read the source and find out. I'm going to put a word there. This is shown in the quote, so I need to back it up with a language feature ideally. The writer uses, and then I've got to label the language feature, and then it's 3 suggestions about the effectiveness of that language feature to show us what the writer thinks about sweets. Okay, there's my sentence starters. Let's go to source A, and I'm going to skim and scan it for info about sweets. Now I know from questions 1 and 2 that this is about going to the cinema. This is about their rubbery feet. But here, I've not read this one yet, here I can see words like lollies, violet, crumble bar. So let's have a little look here. When you got to the cinema, the first thing you did was stock up on lollies. Lollies was the Australian word for what the English call sweets and the Americans call candy. Some of the more privileged children had upwards of 5 shillings each to dispose of, but in fact 2 shillings was enough to buy you as much as you could eat. Everyone without exception bought at least one Hoadley's violet crumble bar. It was a slab of dense, dry honeycomb coated with chocolate. So fragile was the honeycomb that it would shatter when bitten, scattering bright yellow shrapnel. It was like trying to eat a Chinese vase. So we've got a simile there. This particular sweet was like trying to eat a china vase. So that might be a nice language feature to use about the writer's attitude towards sweets. So is it positive or negative, this attitude? Well, it's quite positive. It was like trying to eat a china vase. It was an experience, wasn't it, eating this Hoadley's violet crumble bar with the honeycomb shattering. But china is quite delicate, and china vases are special is not what I quite want to say, but they are well thought of, because china vases are valuable, although that's not a good word to describe sweets, is it? Maybe it was a valuable experience. China vases are definitely delicate, special. There's another word I'm trying to think of, but it's not coming to my mind yet. But I've got some ideas there. It might come to me in a moment. Let's see if I can find anything better. The honeycomb would go soft only after a day's exposure to direct sunlight. The chocolate surrounding it, however, would liquefy after only 10 minutes in a dark cinema. Okay, we know this paragraph here is all about eating fantails. So we've got some quotes in here that we've probably used for question 3 that might help us for question 4. If you can't find anything else, remember you can use the same quotes that you used in question 3 to talk about the experience of sweets. So do I want to find something else? The star lolly outstripping even the violet crumble bar and the fantail popularity was undoubtedly the Jaffa A packet of Jaffas was loaded with like a cluster bomb with about 50 globular lollies the size of ordinary marbles. A packet of Jaffas was loaded like a cluster bomb. So we've got another simile there. Loaded like a cluster bomb. So again, it's this idea of it being an experience, and it's not an everyday experience. You know, comparing it to a cluster bomb, meaning that it springs in all directions. I've definitely got this idea of it being exciting or memorable. Yeah. So I've kind of got my thoughts here about the writer's attitude towards sweets, and I think I'm going to stick with that word memorable in Sauce, because even this paragraph here, you know, I know he describes it as kind of fantails inducing lockjaw, you know, the strangled crying of kids eating the sweets in the dark. I mean, but he's not saying it's like awful, it's saying like something you'll never forget. So in Sauce, the writer thinks sweets were memorable. Quite happy with that. This is shown in the quote. It was like trying to eat a china vase. The writer uses a simile to convey, not describe. The word convey is in the question. To convey their attitude to sweets. So, and I'm going to change this suggest to keep the focus on the simile, because that's what I'm comparing. The simile suggests that eating, so it's referring particularly to Hodley's violet crumble bar, was a special experience dash meaning. And why was it? It was because it was something about it's the honeycomb and how it breaks, it shatters easily, meaning the honeycomb was so fragile. Is that word taken from the text? If it is, so frangible, no. No, it was so fragile, it broke in the mouth very easily. So there's one, and I've extended it. The simile, let's move this up so you can see it. The simile also suggests that the experience of sweets was, I'm going to say, exciting. Meaning, so that's quite a simple suggestion, isn't it? Was exciting. Meaning what? What do I mean by it being exciting? Meaning it wasn't an everyday experience, kind of most foods wouldn't feel like eating a china vase. So I've said two things and I've extended it about the simile, like trying to eat a china vase, and because there's another simile in the text, I'm just going to add it to this paragraph and put the writer uses a second simile, and then quote it: a packet of Jaffas was loaded like a cluster bomb to convey his attitude to sweets. The simile suggests, so I can't say exciting, can't say memorable, I've said those things. I've said special. Gosh, I know what I want to say. It's about finding the words, isn't it? The simile suggests that loaded like a cluster bomb. The simile suggests that eating sweets was an I can't say memorable because I've already used that. Was an experience not easily forgotten. Just saying it in a different way. So what do I mean by that? So it's just this idea that he remembers the packet of Jaffas loaded like cluster bombs, and it's like I'm suggesting, like, so he doesn't forget that there was loads of sweets inside, 50 globular lollies the size of ordinary marbles. That eating sweets was an experience not easily forgotten. Meaning the amount of globular lollies inside the Jaffa was, so in the eyes of a kid, when you've got like lots going on in your sweets, that's what makes it memorable, like not easily forgotten, exciting. So what do I want to say here? Meaning the amount of globular inside the Jaffa was extraordinary in the eyes of the writer. Just got to try and find your ways to say it. Okay, I'm quite happy with how much I've written there. I've pulled out 2 quotes, 3 suggestions. I've extended each suggestion. Now I need to compare it to the writer's views on sweets in source B. Okay, and I think the question tells me that they're different. Yes, so my comparative conjunction here is going to be whereas in source B the writer thinks sweets were. So if you remember back to reading this one, most of this bit here is all about how bad the sweets were. They were made out of things that were not good for you, and yeah, let's try and find some quotes. The last thing a child asks is how the sweet it's not even yet the manufacture of these delicacies, or should I say a necessity, is a thing worth witnessing. A marvellous change respecting sugar and sweets of all kind. They denounce tender mothers, trash and messers, and possibly because they denounce now we would not wish to make taboo that delights, blah blah blah. In the past, sweets were not a speciality in England. There were no large factories producing them. Now sweets are made on the largest scale, much cheaper. The basic style is old, is gone. The eye must now be satisfied, as well as the tongue. Even in the cheapest items, think of a halfpenny. It's true that some of the more showy sweets made in the past were colourful, but it was metallic colour containing the most virulent poison. Okay, so that was sweets of the past. It's easy to understand the bad name sweets acquired. No doubt many young children were absolutely killed by excessive eating of these artistically poisoned candies. So sweets of the past used to be poisoned. Today it is wrong to use metallic colour in confection. However, it's just possible that some of the old sweets may still be for sale, so I bid parents beware of sweets with vivid greens and reds, for they are sure to be poisonous. So we've got that nice noun phrase, vivid greens and reds. So we've still got this kind of warning, haven't you? So there's still a warning about sweets. They're not warning. How else can I say that? Be careful. It's not the same enjoyment as source A. There's not the same variety. Okay, let's see what I can come up with. Whereas in source B, the writer thinks sweets were something to be aware of. The writer, this is shown in the quote, poisonous candies. The writer uses a noun phrase to convey his attitude to sweets. So the adjective poisonous suggests that the sweets were made of ingredients that could cause harm. Meaning, what can I get in there? That idea of some still use metallic, meaning some sweets were still made with, can get a second quote in here, metallic colour. Okay, so there's one suggestion. The noun phrase suggests that the writer is issuing a warning about the sweets, meaning, let's extend it, meaning some changes had been made to the way they were manufactured, but where am I getting this from? Some are still using the metallic colours. So we've got this thing, nothing but harmless vegetable colours are now used, which, if not so brilliant as metallic ones, are quite safe. Today it is wrong to use metallic, however it is just possible that some are still like that. So they are manufactured, but not all use, and I'm going to get that, harmless vegetable colours. It's good because I'm even putting more quotes in there to back up my idea. So finally, the noun phrase suggests what? I've got this, the not the same enjoyment, not the same variety, suggests that there isn't the same enjoyment of sweets as in source A, and there isn't the same variety of sweets as in source A. Can I get? I think I've said quite a bit there. Now that has took me about 20 minutes to do, and you've got, for this question here, you've got about 20 minutes. So in the exam that would have to be enough, but I've organised it well using my sentence starters. I've labelled the method, and I've given 3 suggestions, and I've extended those suggestions. So I'm saying quite a lot. Look at that, at least 2 pages for question 4. 2.5 actually, look there. So I definitely should have written enough there to achieve 8 out of 16, which is what I'm aiming for a grade 4. Not an easy question, but as long as you know what you're doing, and hopefully that recording there has supported you to understand what you need to do. Good luck, guys.